Okay. Well. Happy Monday.
Oh.
Yeah, how about that? It's a great day, isn't it? Put your headphones on.
It's Monday.
That's what I said.
And
it's a
you
Monday.
know what? It's time to go home, Rayford.
I need that. What clock, for whatever reason, went forward 2 hours overnight yesterday when I was in here, but it's like, yeah.
AI.
Did we miss something?
I don't know. I just looked up to see what time it was.
AI stand for?
Artificial intelligence.
And the word artificial defined is?
Not real.
Fake.
Fake?
Yeah. Fake intelligence. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Sure.
Kelly's on the way, I think. Should be.
We haven't heard from her, so
Uh-oh.
she must be on the way.
Maybe she's sleeping in. No, there she is. She's walking through the gate. Could we sing that song? Here she comes, just a
She's rolling her eyes. That's Monday morning roll.
Can we have her sing "Do what diddy dum diddy do"? Which is
she probably doesn't.
I bet
really
you know the words to that one, don't you?
I actually do, but my key fob in my car wouldn't work, so I had to find the spare.
What?
Battery must be out on it. I can already tell you it's going to be a week. It's Monday.
It's already been a week.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Kelly Knapp.
And I'm Lee Barrows.
See, we
waited for you.
Stalled
I appreciate that.
just for
I
you.
was hoping.
Stall.
Yeah,
There
like,
you go.
Watch your drink.
No, it's got a lid on it.
Okay.
Got a lid.
That's a good thing to have in here.
Yes.
There's just I don't even know where to start this morning news wise.
It's a crazy weekend.
Most of it is just bad news all the way around. Down in Clearwater Beach, Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's a ferry boat. It held about 45 people on it. So like a long pontoon with seats down both sides. So it's what we described. If we're diving on something like that, down wherever you go, they try to cram as many people on as possible because they go by the number of people, the amount of money they make, right?
Right.
So we call them cattle boats because you're crammed in there just like cattle. And I'm sure that's what was happening here. This boat looked to be about 30 feet long and had 45 souls on board and heading over from Clearwater over to Clearwater Beach. And at 8 something at nighttime last night, and he gets hit by another boat that's driving by.
Y'all didn't see each other?
I didn't even hear about
yeah. Well, it didn't happen until after 8 o'clock last night. So
right.
Oh, that would explain why.
Usually ferry well, I've never seen a ferry that was a pontoon, but then again,
they have them for short runs and
yeah.
water.
I'm sure it was well lit, but the other boat took off.
Well, you can't put too many lights on it because the captain of the boat, the guy that steers the boat, can't see.
It was a hit and run.
Mm-hmm.
He took off, and they found the boat. They got the boat ID. I don't know of any person that's been arrested yet.
No, they had to go sober up, I'm sure, before that.
Yeah, well, that's okay. They can do due process, no doubt about it. Anyway, it's called the Clearwater Ferry. It happened about 8:40 last night. Struck by a recreational boat. One person's dead. Half dozen others hurt. And, you get hit and then you run aground and the boat is rammed into a sandbar. So you get a double whammy with that. And that many people, I'm sure they were panicking. Well, everybody's panicking on board.
Sure.
Boat didn't look like it had much damage. The morning after pictures that I saw. So obviously it was just what occurred. Well, with the people falling and everything, no doubt that's what it was. And they don't give the ages. Don't know whether they were coming or going. I hope they were coming back at 8:40 at night.
That's what my understanding was, that they were coming back from the festival that was, I guess, on an island or something, somewhere.
Well, Clearwater Beach is
where the ferry crosses.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it has some damage to the top, it looks like, which I'm not quite sure why. The superstructure is it's like a canopy around the place. It's got aluminum framing, aluminum works. But the vessel looks like it also had the ferry boat looks like it also had a radar on board. So, could no doubts he or whoever was operating the boat saw the other vessel coming, at least on radar. And people don't travel with lights on except navigation lights at nighttime on the water. You got that red and green light on.
Right.
And I'm sure the ferry had the same thing going. And somebody wasn't paying attention and was probably zipping along, as so many people do. We see it in the New River here on a regular basis at nighttime, especially after an event. Like the 4th of July fireworks, probably 100 boats will be downriver anchored up so they can watch the fireworks that happen aboard Camp Lejeune. They look pretty cool. You see them from there and spend the afternoon, picnicking or, doing whatever, and then watch the fireworks. You can swim in the river down there. It's pretty nice. Makes for a nice afternoon or a nice day. But on the way home after the fireworks end, everybody is in the biggest hurry because a lot of people have launched their boat. All of those people throughout the day on that 4th of July are now trying to get back to the boat ramp first so they can be first in line to recover their boats. Otherwise, it could be an hour, hour and a half later before they can get their boats back on their trailers. And so the first ones, first come, first serve, and that's the way they do it. And they're running wide open to get back home. Me, when I went down there, of course, I had a slip down at Tideline Marine. What I would do is I just go down river, watch the things, and then I will be the last in line, that long line of idiots.
Sure. Why be in a hurry?
I'd be the last idiot in line. So I get on back to the dock and tie up and be done with it. Not that big a deal.
Well, we'll say it was busy at the ramp this weekend.
Yeah, it's a pretty weekend. And
a lot of boats.
A little sloppy out there in the ocean, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, there were any number of other situations that are developing, and right here, awful news.
Yes.
34-day-old. That's only 1 month old baby died back in January when she was attacked by a dog.
I can't listen to this.
Oakley Johnson was killed on that day, last January. Oakley's mother has now been charged in connection with the death. 20-year-old Frankie Johnson, the mother, faces charges that include second-degree murder, negligent child abuse, and serious bodily injury. Police responded to a call at her residence at the Palisades Apartments on Western Boulevard. First responders were working on the infant, but little Oakley could not be saved. The full details have not been made public. Johnson was taken to the Onslow County Jail under a $100,000 bond. If you're going to have babies and you're going to have pets, you need to be extremely responsible. Doggies and cats and they just do natural things. And sometimes, especially if you got a big dog, they just really want to play. Mm-hmm. They can pick babies up.
That's right.
A 30-day-old baby, 34 days old, 1 month is small for a big dog.
But there's definitely way more in the story with the fact based on her charges.
Oh yeah, well she just left them alone.
Something else involved, yeah.
And who knows what else is involved? But anyway, you just have to exercise extreme caution. So
yes,
it's also
sad story.
It's been almost 2 years since Jacksonville PD started working on a case involving a runaway teenager. Now, almost 2 years later, 21-year-old Dizam Price Williams is in jail in Onslow County. He faces charges that include 2 counts of human trafficking of a child, second-degree kidnapping, second-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, and third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. The first case 2 years ago led to additional teens who had been exploited. Price Williams is in jail under a $500,000 bond. Good. Mm-hmm. Good. I'm sure that every inmate in that jail knows all about him.
So young to be so involved in the dark side. It's just, wow.
That often makes it easier to do,
Uh-huh. I
sadly.
It might not be the most important news of the day today, but it got my attention and it moved straight to the top of the list. I'm wondering if the subject of this particular piece of news has any clue who the president of the United States is these days.
Oh, mercy.
The subject is a Wisconsin judge,
Oh, my word.
and she is threatening not to hold court in protest of federal authorities arresting her fellow judge, Hannah Dugan, last week. Judge Monica Isham made the announcement in an email to judges across the entire state Saturday. Her email titled, "Guidance Requested or I Refuse to Hold Court." Oh,
Wow.
goody.
See, this.
Made clear she had no intention of working with immigration and customs enforcement folks. Uh-oh. I so want to hear what those other judges think. They're probably going to be, mum is the word, they're going to shut up. She writes, if there is no guidance for us and no support for us, I will refuse to hold court in Branch 2 in Sawyer County. I will not put myself or my staff who may feel compelled to help me or my community in harm's way. Whoops, she continued. I have no intention of allowing anyone to be taken out of my courtroom by ICE, sent to a concentration camp, especially without due process, as both of the constitutions we swore to uphold require. Should I start raising bail money? She asked. My question, did this judge actually pass the bar exam?
She a state judge, right?
Yeah.
And that's
And
what I'm
she's-
saying. I mean, I would immediately hope that judicial review board would have an emergency meeting and figure out what to do with her tail, because they can be removed. Judges can be removed from benches.
I was just going to say, we need to send North Carolina Justice Newbie over there. He was cleaning them out here.
Well, for those that don't know, I don't know how you could not have heard this story, because this has fired me up. This female judge, liberal as the day is long, was in her courtroom with a defendant who was there not on an ICE detainer.
We're talking about the one that got popped
Yes.
by ICE.
Yes, the
by
judge.
feds, yes.
The defendant that she spirited through the back door of the courthouse,
Place where defendants do not go.
and where the public doesn't go.
Correct.
Okay, because he was an illegal and she got word that ICE was coming into her courtroom to arrest him. Does anybody know why this guy was in court? Let me tell you if you don't know. He was in there on domestic violence and assault charges for assaulting a man and a woman. He wasn't in her courtroom because he was there illegally. Okay.
3 battery charges
Yep.
for beating 2 people.
So you're telling me that this liberal Looney Tune judge, and that's exactly what she is, who needs to be immediately stripped of every ability to ever be in a courtroom again,
She can't do much now because she's under arrest.
had more sympathy for some piece of scum of the earth who is beating other humans than she did for the general public. You want to talk about a danger to the public? That guy is a danger to the public.
Uh-huh.
Because it's my understanding, I think this was some kind of more of a random thing. It wasn't like, I think that's what I read. It's, the point being though, okay,
Well,
we're not going to go for ICE does not apply in this case, because this was a domestic violence. So you're telling me, for all these liberal judges running around, that you place more value on these scum illegal aliens than you do on your American citizens, because that's essentially what she's saying.
well, this judge, Ms. Dugan, demanded that the officers, when they showed up in her courtroom, ICE, FBI, CPB, and DEA, they went to arrest the dude, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
she took him out the
She
back.
demanded that they go to the chief judge's office. And then when the
Yeah.
hearing ended, she
Yep.
personally escorted this dude and his attorney out a restricted jury door,
Yep.
bypassed the public area where agents were waiting in order to help him avoid arrest. Oh my. Dugan has worked with legal aid organization and as executive director of Catholic Charities in the past. She was elected to Branch 31 of the Circuit Court in 2016 and ran unopposed in the 2022 election. She primarily oversees cases in its misdemeanor division. You know what?
She's not going to be a judge for much longer.
I hope. Now you got to understand, this is up yonder.
Right.
The Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights reacted to the ultimatum from the other judge, Isham, on social media, saying that the threat was, quote, problematic. Oh, yeah, it's going to be problematic. Can you imagine? The reason the Assistant Attorney General went is because they reached him because Attorney General Pam Bondi was laughing so hard she couldn't respond publicly. I have no doubt about that.
She was like, "You're going
You've
to jail."
got to be kidding me.
Yes.
It's lovely to watch someone burst into flames after pouring on a bucket of lighter fluid.
What?
I mean, you're a state
That's what the
judge
judge is.
and you have federal agents coming into your court.
Uh-huh.
But you interfered in a case with someone that is not an American citizen,
Oh, uh-huh.
and B, her, because what the icing on the cake to me was her attorney stated, Judge Dugan wholeheartedly regrets and protests her arrest. It was not made in the interest of public safety. So you're telling me that by letting this abuser go, that's in the interest of public safety?
And what would you do for future people who are here illegally standing trial in your courtroom when the feds come to get them per their instructions and per their legal authority and legal right and responsibility to do? What would you do for the rest of them? Same thing. Yep, probably.
And it is hard as heck a lot of times to get a victim to come forward.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here to tell you because I work with them. Okay. And can you imagine those two American citizens? Let me be clear. The people he assaulted were American citizens and had to the victims. Can you imagine how they felt in that courtroom when this piece of trash judge took the defendant? Because she's basically telling you, I don't care what he did to you.
Yep.
I'm more concerned with his rights. He don't have no rights.
Nope.
He is not even a citizen. I think somewhere along the way, our nation, the liberals have gotten very confused about the purpose of the Constitution. I just really feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody needs, from every judge, every lawyer, every civil rights activist, needs to go back to a basic civics class. And let's be clear, you're either for the American public or you're against them, period.
Yeah,
I think it's becoming vastly, vastly clear to those of us with a shred of common sense on where some of these people's loyalties lie.
I want to expand on that just a little bit. You got a great point there. Police officers,
Yep.
nurses,
Mm-hmm.
doctors, counselors,
Mm-hmm.
all y'all people, you have to go up periodically for retrofitting, right?
Every 2 years
In service training, they call it.
Yeah,
in law
30
enforcement or
hours a
whatever.
year, but
You
yeah.
have to go through this
Yes.
to maintain.
Mhm.
Maybe every judge. Maybe, I know the district attorneys have to do it. Maybe every judge, I know the clerk of courts have to do it. Maybe every judge, maybe every elected representative that we have, state,
Mhm.
federal, and local.
Yeah.
I know when they first get sworn in,
They take
the
a class
county
with
commissioners,
that.
they go up and they do
Yeah.
a little thing, right?
I agree.
Maybe they should have to be retrofitted because all the stuff that they go through and put up with and they deal with,
Mhm.
maybe that has tainted them. And maybe they just don't quite understand
I think you
anymore.
get complacent.
That too.
I
You
mean,
get opinionated and you think, oh my God, I am the law.
and for some
I
people,
am the
yes.
Lord.
Yes.
I am in charge of the
Mhm.
county.
Yep.
I'm one of the select few 435 people
Mhm.
from this entire country of 330 million people that you have elected to send here to Congress? No.
This is so disgusting and appalling. I have been fired up about this, especially when I found out what he was being charged with. But the actual audacity of any, I want to hear somebody defend her actions. And there's got to be somebody locally, even some listener somewhere, that thinks this is okay. And if you do, at least have the guts to call in and tell us why you think, because I legitimately want to know how anybody can think that this is okay.
910-333-0139.
Because I want to hear the argument you would give. Let's act like this is a high school debate club meeting. Okay.
Well, I
I
will
used to love
say,
doing that.
in order to remove her, it's got to go through Wisconsin State Assembly.
Oh, I'm sure
They've
we can
got
do
to
that.
impeach her.
Well, I'll tell you
So
one
it's going to
thing.
come down to a political thing.
If I were those lawmakers,
Right.
I'd
I
be
would.
calling an emergency meeting immediately.
Yep.
And then I would put the next lady, the one that's refusing to
See.
hold court, throw her name on there for the next one on the agenda. You got to go too, because judges are supposed to be impartial. This screams of bias.
Of course it does.
Completely.
Yep.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. This screams of
What,
bias. I've seen judges here locally be biased in the courtroom. It happens.
If you do that,
Mhm.
just because it's an illegal alien, all
Mhm.
right? If you do that for whatever the reason, why would I not think that you would do that? You brought this guy up here for first degree. I personally don't believe he could do it.
Mhm.
I've known
Exactly.
this. I've known this
Yeah,
man. I've known this family all of his life. I held him as a baby, so I'm just going to dismiss those charges. That is about the same
Well-
quality. How would you trust a judge like that at any time in the future? How would you do it?
But let's
Well,
be
here
clear.
I wouldn't.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Here you go. Wisconsin has a Democratic triplex and a divided trifecta. The Democratic Party controls the offices of governor, secretary of state, and attorney general.
Okay, but
The
regardless of that,
Republican Party controls both chambers of the state legislature.
that's a good thing too. But
Yes.
let me bring up something else that I think this is where a lot of the mainstream media and the far right liberals that are completely out of touch with their constituency, the American public, because these were two citizens that he's accused of assaulting. Okay, you can have a D by your name registered to vote. People, just because you're a Democrat does not mean you're stupid. Okay?
No.
And
I hope not.
you think that the public in general hearing this, how safe do they feel? You want to scream about safety.
Mhm.
You just let a guy go that I think he'd been deported once or twice
have
and
no
came
idea.
back. I think this was the guy. Like in Maryland last week when that little reporter was going around asking people about that guy.
Yeah.
And everybody that he interviewed was Democrat, most of them minority. None of them, and it was quite a
They know
number.
better.
None of them said they wanted that guy back
Maryland
here.
is loaded with these illegals. They came there because they thought it would be safe there. I mean, this is kind of a liberal area,
And
so let's go there.
this is what I'm saying, that the AOCs and whoever, and now this judge is so out of touch with reality with the citizens to think that just because I'm a liberal that I'm going to, everyone's going to agree with what I'm saying. And the sad reality is no one is agreeing with anything they're saying.
They're not understanding.
Because they're not understanding how the public works. Nobody wants this trash here. Everybody's fed up with citizens being raped, murdered, now assaulted.
How high up on the list was secure the border and control illegal immigration?
Number one.
It was the number one thing.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, and
Why
that's
are
what
they
I'm
forgetting
saying.
those?
Because they think they are right. They are unwilling. They're not even listening to their constituents, and they're all crying and boo-hooing after the election. We can't believe Trump got elected. Are you serious? Because
But
you
it's
are so
everywhere.
out of touch.
But
Because-
it's everywhere. It's just not Wisconsin.
I know a lot of Democrats
Crazy.
that actually voted for Trump, believe it or not, and
Yeah.
they said
Oh, yeah,
they
'cause they
could
could
not
not vote for
believe they
Biden.
were doing it.
Yeah, they couldn't vote for Biden
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a little chilly morning to start this is almost May, isn't it? I mean, like this week is May.
Our
May
clock is
showers.
messed up. What's wrong with our time?
You're late.
I'm not that late. I'm not that
I'm trying to
late.
figure out what time zone that clock automatically
It
switched
just
to.
wants to be
No,
would be
see, it's moved forward
mountain
2
time.
hours.
That would be mountain.
No. Mountain time's behind us.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. You're
So
right, of course.
Atlantic Standard Time is actually 1 hour ahead of us, which Atlantic Standard Time
Let's
is
not
actually
get
right
this
now
all-
7:25 Atlantic Standard Time because it's 1 hour ahead, but they don't recognize daylight savings time. So now what goes on the other side of Atlantic Standard Time?
Oh.
Somewhere out yonder.
I don't know because
It's not Europe.
No, because
It's not
Ireland's
Africa.
5 hours ahead of us. It's not that. I don't know what. Maybe that's a portal.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe it's.
Oh.
I just looked up and saw the clock.
Don't look into the light.
Trump has opened a portal to get rid of the
Don't look
illegals.
into the
Yeah,
light.
like-
Mostly a pretty weekend it was. A few scattered
Yes,
showers along the coast and a little breezy on the ocean at times. Offshore today, northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet, about 2 feet near shore. Average of 3 feet every 8 seconds. That's nice, smooth sailing on the ocean. Sounds and rivers just a moderate chop. Southeasterly winds tomorrow 5 to 10. Becoming southerly in the afternoon, seas 2 to 3 feet. Sounds and rivers a light chop. Wednesday, southwesterly winds. That's the day you want to go fishing, y'all. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 3 feet. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop.
Today, sunny, high of 78. Tonight, clear, low of 50. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 80. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, low of 59. And Wednesday, even warmer, sunny, a high of 86.
Mhm.
No rain in store
Nice.
till minimum of Friday night, where there's a 50% chance. So
Of course, it's the
make sure you
weekend.
water your plants.
Yeah,
Do you
one of-
remember that one summer every weekend it rained? It
Yes.
only rained on the weekend.
Yep, and it was so aggravating.
Had a friend went fishing over the weekend. He heard some fish were out there. He didn't get a lot, but he got some mackerel.
Wow.
Got some, I think he said drum, and I know he got some tuna, small tuna, not the
Ooh.
huge tuna, but it's got some. He got a nice several dinners for several people. So, and I need to go fishing. I really need to go fishing. Oh my goodness.
I got a story for you, and
Shoot.
I'm trying to understand the logic of it, or I don't know. This is why I don't like working with perverts. So, a Davison.
Well, thanks a lot.
Well, I
So
mean,
you were referencing
I keep the exception
Lee or
for you.
me?
No. Let me tell you,
Hey,
Davison.
She's perverts,
into this.
associates.
No, I said this is why I don't like, and I don't mean it with job. I mean client wise. A
Oh.
former Davison College employee, okay, had been accused of recording women in the campus bathrooms. He was an electrician formerly for the thing. It gets better.
That's why I don't like going to the bathroom in
So
public.
now he's got new charges facing in Charlotte. So in November, his name is Jeremy Whitworth. He's 49, was arrested. He had been the school electrician and had recording women in different restrooms on campus for 15 years.
Oh Lord, he had a collection then, didn't
That's
he?
what I'm saying. So then he was also accused, I guess, recently. This article is a little odd.
How'd he get caught?
I don't know. He was accused of setting up cameras at homes and in Airbnbs where he worked. So he would go in and do electrical work
Oh,
and then
leave
set
a
up
camera.
a remote camera.
Oh my!
I would kill somebody. And then I guess he got caught
should
at
be a
the
pacifist. You know, you're
at the
supposed to be.
Mooresville Walmart, the Mooresville Target,
I love
and the
Mooresville.
Mooresville Chick-fil-A. This fool was also recording women's feet and legs.
Ooh, he has issues.
He's got a lot of issues, but
What?
why would you record someone in the bathroom? I mean, what kind? That is just gross.
Pervert.
I mean, I don't understand the mentality. I think it's creepy. But now every time I go and stay at Airbnb, I'm gonna search for. There's got to be a device that can detect that.
Well, there was
I don't
no
know how much it
words the
costs.
last Airbnb I stayed at.
Yeah, well, that's because there was no
No
electricity.
electricity.
I mean,
It was dark.
yeah, but this is.
Infrared.
I'm
cameras.
just trying to understand the logic.
You.
I know.
You
I
cannot
know.
put
I'm
your
trying to- I
values
know,
and
I know, I know.
You cannot do that.
Because I've worked
It does
with
not
clients that
apply.
have some sick
Yeah.
fetishes.
The,
I have worked with
Oh,
clients with
there-
sick
there was a-
fetishes.
there was a
But
guy-
this-
feel
uh,
itchy and
A
unclean.
clerk, a young clerk,
Mhm.
late teens or early 20s at Carolina Beach. he worked at a surf shop, not going to tell you which one, and it had a restroom. It had a changing room for people that come in to try on these bathing suits, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was kind of like, there was almost like a room behind the changing room. There was just a little walk space back there. And he put a little camera hole in there and put a camera up to it and was shooting it for a long time until somebody heard something back there and went to investigate.
Oh my
And
gosh.
there's a camera back there. The guy was gone at the time, but the camera was still there. Uh-oh, called a popo. Didn't confront him, didn't do anything about it. So then I was at Carolina Beach at the time. We set him up. Set him up bad.
Did you go in there dressed like a woman?
No. I went there undressed like a woman. No, we did send somebody in
gosh.
and let them, and then waited for him because we had intel inside
Right.
watching what was going on, our customer. And when they saw him go back there, he's there on the radio.
A creep.
And then walked straight in
Creep.
and up to him. And then, of course, he got down to the point that he was in good old boy territory, and he fessed up and said where he had all the videos that he had and yada, yada, yada. So, yep, creep. Just a child creep.
Creepers.
A lot of creepers. And then there's that Vancouver incident over the weekend.
What happened
Did you
in
hear about
Vancouver?
that?
I
You
don't know.
didn't hear about that?
Probably not.
There was a car ramp. There was a Filipino Heritage Festival in Vancouver, and it was yesterday.
Yes.
And a guy in a car killed 11 people
Oh, yes.
driving up on there.
I did.
And they're saying it wasn't terrorism. He had a lot of mental health issues. I said, this is once again highlights our mental health system everywhere is terribly broken, and it just is. And that's just so sad. People just trying to go to a festival. You know, that'd be like us, the shrimp festival or the
Yes.
mullet festival, all that. People just trying to go to a festival, and a Filipino festival is going to have some amazing food, I'm going to tell you.
Uh-huh.
So-
We've had it here.
Yeah. I mean, going to something like that with your car, it's so sad, so sad. And they have arrested him. But I don't know how the Canadian justice system works. Do they have a death penalty? I don't know. I
doubt it.
I don't know. And
Very, very sad. Yeah, it was quite a
smallest state in
Yeah.
the union. You know where that is? What's the smallest state in the union?
I would say Rhode Island.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
Chris Marks.
So you got Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts police have found 8 bodies between March and April.
Yeah, there's a serial killer
And
up
they
there.
think there's
Yeah.
a serial killer, and
Yeah.
there folks up in up that area. There,
Mhm.
That's been going on.
one beach town there in Rhode Island. They're
Mhm.
they're looking for hidden graves. They've already, the 8 have been found. They still think there are more. All sorts of rumors all over the place on Facebook, TikTok, and other anti-social media. Local and state police have not linked any of the 8 deaths, except that there were 8 people killed in those states and buried in graves. I would think that will be pretty close to enough to link them.
I
if
would
nothing
think
else.
so too.
How many individuals would be killing people at the same time and
Mhm.
disposing of them by just burying them in grave? It's just kind of weird.
Who was that last serial killer that was caught finally? The dad. Who was that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Not
God, I
enough
have
of
to
them.
look it up. It was right up from that area.
Mr. Marks, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rayford, my friend. How are you?
Doing fine here. You got
And to Kelly and Lee. Good
Yeah.
morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Chris Marks, and Chris, I'm going to jump into something before you have a chance to, or just in case you have forgotten about it. Today is the
Hold on.
28th day of April. You got today, tomorrow, and the 30th. That would be
Ticket.
Wednesday to get and use some tickets through the Crime Stoppers of Onslow County. Or that one, you can buy a ticket for $10, buy 2 of them for $20, and go over to Smithfield Barbecue. Either one of them we have here in Jacksonville, and you can get a meal of either dead pig, or dead yard bird.
And they are good.
He was good last week. I went
Thank
last
you,
week
Chris.
again.
Rayford
And,
makes it sound like don't go get it, but you make it sound delicious.
Yeah, go get it and bring it to me. If you don't want it, I'll be
I've
glad
got to
to eat
remember
it.
to go.
I like either the chicken or the pig.
I was going to do it this week, but I didn't want to go out. Things were crazy around Jacksonville
better
this
hurry.
weekend.
You better hurry.
I'll still got a couple
yeah.
more days.
Those tickets
Um,
expire on Wednesday.
I just have to decide, do I want chicken or barbecue?
Yes.
Well,
I know the
only
difference
do-
in
Yes.
both.
Yes is a good answer. Do I want
got a
chicken
big
or
delivery
barbecue?
tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm going to deliver 38 meals tomorrow,
Uh-oh.
and
They might run out. You better hurry.
yeah, they were switching out. I was able to last Friday, I believe, delivered some to Coastal Enterprises. Well, and they had what a mixture. I mean, some wanted barbecue chicken, which they offer. Some wanted fried chicken. Some wanted beans and coleslaw. Some wanted potatoes, coleslaw, potatoes. You know, that's the good thing is you get to pick your sides. So you know, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that, other than the fact that it's helping support Crime Stoppers.
Absolutely.
So
Crime Stoppers is
That's
a
right.
major program to help bust bad people, anywhere from drug dealers, drug traffickers to whatever in this area and in surrounding areas too, by the way, because I know a lot of tips come in about stuff that's happening on the border of other counties like Jones and probably definitely Carteret, because they have to face some of the same criminals that we face here in Oslo County.
They really do, and our county is so big. You know, whether it's Sneads Ferry, Richlands, parts of Swansboro. The local law enforcement from each of those areas will take any information possible and go on the hunt.
There you go.
Chris, I just messaged you my address for the office, so you bring some tickets by today.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kelly, so much.
She wants
Okay,
122.
I do not. We don't have 122
Well,
Well, I
employees.
can take some of them.
What time is dinner?
Yeah.
What time is lunch?
Yeah, but thank you, Kelly. I'll get those to
Okay,
you.
that's fine.
One of the things, and I know we were talking about all the bad weekend stuff. I want to mention something that happened here in Jacksonville that was not bad. It was actually very touching, and that was the Veterans Memorial.
Vietnam veterans.
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial held over at the Beirut Memorial behind there, and the little area that's set up for the Vietnam veterans and the people whose names are etched on the walls. Brigadier General Rizzo, who was the acting commander of the NCIES Marine Corps base, Camp Lejeune, or Eastern Installation, as they like to call it sometimes. I want to mention just really quickly about his speech. He was introduced to the attendees, and what he said was, you know, I had this speech all written out. He had his folder handed to him and stuff. And he threw it down. And he goes, I don't need this. I'm going to go off the cuff. And something that stuck in my mind that he mentioned was, you know, you Vietnam veterans, you set the plate for me. You set the standards for me and our military of today with what you did 50 years ago. And it was very touching how he mentioned that. And then the guest speaker, who I apologize, I can't remember the young man's name, was a young man when he told his story. He didn't have nothing to do after high school. Nobody would hire him. So him and his friends joined the Marine Corps. And the story of his time over in Vietnam was very moving. The whole ceremony was very moving. When they do the 21 gun salute, that'll get you. When they do taps, that'll get you.
Yep.
Rolling Thunder NC5, hats off to Paul Levesque. I think there's another leader over there that was handling that. They handled the mentioning of all of the 38 or 58 North Carolinians who are still missing in action or POWs. it's so touching because the bell is rung each and every time for their names.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very solemn yet a very special and uplifting one because of the veterans that were there. A lot of them with Purple Hearts, and the guest speaker was Sergeant Major Haskell Jackson. His story was amazing. He was a Purple Heart recipient as well. But it was a wonderful event. You can find some information on the City of Jacksonville's page. But I got to tell you, you want to go to a moving ceremony, and I know Lee, you've been there quite a few times, and I think Kelly, I've seen you there too. It was a very, very motivational and moving, and it also made me think about the veterans who were across the street that were in attendance in spirit.
Right. Yep.
Looking down, it was just so there were some good things that also happened in our world, in our little world, especially here in Jacksonville. Besides the plant sale, oh my goodness!
Oh yeah, I heard about it.
You couldn't get a car in. You couldn't get a car in there.
It was packed. I walked a half a mile.
They had to call the sheriff's office to provide traffic control. Had no clue they were going to have that many people show up.
When I got there, they were already lined up on 258. So I did a U-turn and went to back road, which other people did the same. And I still had to walk like a half a mile. I'm like, whew.
Yeah.
Got my steps in.
There was a lot of good things in the news, especially for our area here. And Rayford, thank you for the plug for Crime Stoppers. We thank you for that, as always. You know, live and local real talk, for those people that are listening from other countries, other areas of the United States and stuff, you need to have a program like this where people can call in, talk about just about anything within reason, and find other people's opinions, but also hear about the good things that happen in the area that they live. And that'll overcome everything that's bad that's going on there. It's just for a moment.
Yeah, and you're right. And I want to go back to Vietnam and the Brigadier General first. What he said was, yes, you set the bar. The Viet veterans, those who were there, they changed the way this entire military forces that we have, it changed the way they trained and operated. Let's just take Camp Lejeune for just a moment. In the past, in typical military training, they went through and did a whole lot like, you stand up and you shoot at this or you shoot at that. All rise now and shoot. No, that was not Vietnam. Vietnam was a jungle. You didn't have that kind of opportunity. You were up close and personal quite often. I was never there. I've talked to a whole lot of people who were there, good friends who were there. A few good friends I can't talk to anymore after their serious situation there. But here at Camp Lejeune, they didn't take long. They got together and said, we got to do something else. And they built, because they were also having to go door to door, basically in hooches or so-called small towns or villages to clear them, right? So at Camp Lejeune, they built something called Combat Town. And that's where they trained as well. Not just the regular training that they went through. They came time for going door to door. That was not something, and now it's standard operating procedure in our war zones wherever we are these days, Afghanistan, all of that, you have to go through door to door these days because you're fighting in civilian territory. It changed. And also they allowed police departments to go in and train under the same conditions because police departments could not afford to go out and build a combat town, something where they would have to go door to door to clear an area. So they invited cops to come in and learn. So what occurred in Vietnam and the training that came out of Vietnam as a result of Vietnam was also put to very good use in law enforcement. throughout this country. So my hat's off to all of those veterans, every one of them who went before us. Thank you.
They did, and no, you're great. Yes, thank you very much to all of them, and I shook as many hands as I could that weren't there. They were there sharing their own stories. And real quick, Sergeant Major Haskell, the guest speaker, he said he went over as a private. 4 days later, he was a lance corporal.
Yep.
And he was leading these young men. And a week later, he was a sergeant leading a battalion or leading a group of 38. And they had to do 40 checkpoints. I believe that was the number.
Mm.
When they came back, his commanding officer said, "You're either the luckiest 40th SOBs on this planet, or you didn't hit every checkpoint," because they went there to make sure that there were not any unexploded and improvised explosive devices, EIDs. Or things, and he goes, he said, "Well, sir, whatever it was, we went through every checkpoint, and sadly, some of the men that he was with did not come back.
Yep.
As with many, but just the whole ceremony to remember our Vietnam veterans, because one last thing that I recall that General Rizzo said. It was bad. It was not a politically good environment when they left.
Nope.
But their return was even worse. And I'm not going to go into what we all remember happened then.
Yep.
But that's why it's so important now that we shake hands and welcome these veterans and just say, "Welcome home," because they're giving the welcome home that they actually deserve way back at the end of that war.
It is past time.
Conflict.
Way past time.
Well,
Way
Chris,
past time. But anyway,
I'm sorry. I'm sure you do like the rest of us. Anytime you see a veteran, you go up and thank him for his service. I ran into quite a few Saturday at the plant sale.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thank them for their service, and I got to tell you, they so still respect the Corps. They respect the flag. They respect God. They respect our country. They respect each other. And if you ask them all to a T, they'll say the same thing. I'll do it. I'd do it again.
Yes.
Sure.
So,
I know my dad so bad wanted to go back in. He said, "I can do something."
Some of them looked in pretty good shape that they could. Some, needed canes, but it was a beautiful ceremony, and so there is always good things happening in Onslow County and Camp Lejeune, and our relationship with the two are so wonderful. That's why Wreaths Across America exists. That's why the Beirut or the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Cemetery or Vietnam Veterans Memorial event happens every year, and the city and county both made proclamations at the event. So just a wonderful. I just wanted to let everybody know that there was a good event that happened here in Onslow County, with all these other states having some issues.
Yeah.
Jacksonville and Onslow County, we're pretty good.
Yep, absolutely.
We're very good.
Great community.
And you folks are a big reason for it, and we thank you.
Oh no, we just talk about the good things. We don't cause them. We just talk about them. And then
There you go.
That's what we want to do. We talk about the good stuff. And unfortunately, it has to be mixed in with some of the bad stuff, which I got to do right now.
Well, I'm going to have
Okay.
to get up with Paul Syverson, because I would have loved to have gone to this thing Saturday had I known. So he needs to get up with us so we can start letting the word get out.
Well, I'm sure Paul will help you with that.
Yes, he's a good guy.
I'm sure you're going to be hearing about the fish fry coming up this Friday for the Shriners.
Yes, I've made arrangements on that.
Good.
Thank you. And
Fish on.
that fish on. So, as Rayford said, you've got 3 more days to enjoy some. Say it again, Rayford. Call it what it is.
Oh, some dead pig or some dead yard bird.
and then Friday you can have some dead
It's
fish.
good
You're
stuff.
really going to make us not want to eat that.
Why?
You need-
Can
you
can
must
I
make
say,
him
Eat it if
stop.
would you rather eat it if it was alive?
I don't just want-
can I
yeah,
say
want the
something
word-
in reference to the word dead?
Yeah.
I've noticed now on a lot of podcasts, a lot of news stories, a lot of social media, the new thing is to say unalive instead of dead. Would you please explain to me why?
Oh, that's stupid.
Thank you. That's exactly what it is.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that's
That's
unalive that was
stupid.
never alive, but
Just-
if it's dead, it was alive at one
The
time.
subject was
How's that sound?
unalive when we got there, and I'm like, what? Why
Yeah,
couldn't you say
whatever.
deceased?
I will let you all have this
Thank you.
discussion, and I'll listen
Thank
to
you,
it.
Chris.
Bye,
Have a
Chris.
blessed day. Bye.
Out there
I'm
in
so
the Rocky
confused.
Mountain area. What?
I got confused for a moment. I had to look at. Well, I forgot I have a watch. Okay, that's good. I'm good.
The time right now is 7:50, coming up on
Thank you.
7:51 a.m. That's Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Anything else you need to know? Just
No,
ask.
I'm good.
All right, federal authorities said yesterday that more than 100 illegal aliens were detained in a massive raid at an underground nightclub in Colorado Springs that officials say was frequented by TDA and MS-13 terrorists. And people are up in arms about it. You went and raided a nightclub? You feds went in there and did that? Uh-huh. The DEA Rocky Mountain Division led a multi-agency operation early Sunday, arresting 114 illegals at the venue that contained more than 200 people inside. Okay, what? Wait. About 200 people inside, 114 of them were illegals. Yeah. Authorities uncovered drugs, go figure, including pink cocaine, as well as evidence of prostitution. Oh my God, I'm appalled. I'm
Pink.
shocked and dismayed. And a bunch of guns during the operation. I remember going on some of those raids into places, illegal outlets, we call them around here. And when the lights come on after you get you do the search warrant, kick the door, do whatever, get inside and announce this is a raid. As soon as the lights come on, you find drugs on the floor, you find guns on the floor, you find all sorts of stuff that they drop that they don't want to be caught with.
Mhm.
Drugs and weapons seized. 114 illegals arrested, detained. Trump said, a big raid last night on some of the worst people illegally in our country, drug dealers, murderers, and other violent criminals of all shapes and sizes. And judges don't want to send them back to where they came from. Oh, God, who do you think he was taking a shot at with that one? If we don't win this battle at the Supreme Court, our country as we know it is finished. It will be a crime-ridden mess. Make America great again. I have a problem disagreeing with what he said, that it will be a crime-ridden mess. We're already a crime-ridden mess, Mr. President. I agree with you, but it's going to get worse because those in charge of the mess are taking over.
And that's what I would like to say. Some of these people that are always in defense of these illegals, okay? Would you let your 12-year-old granddaughter hang out with them?
No.
How many would?
No.
Because, and I'm referring to, same age as little Jocelyn in Texas, who was raped,
Yes.
murdered, and thrown in the river like trash by
Yes.
two scum of the earth.
Yeah.
That I would love to be the one to administer their punishments, because this wouldn't be no 10-year, 20-year, sitting on death row kind of, let's wait and appeal it. I do this for every mother and grandmother out there that, worried about the safety of their grandchildren and children, period. This goes back to the mindset. I don't understand it. And that got me thinking about something else. And I thought about this all weekend, so I looked it up.
And by the way, in addition to all of those other federal agents that are
Mhm.
assisted in this raid, Lee,
Yes.
explain to me why Postal Service agents were there too. Because they're federal agents. They can do
Yeah.
anything.
Not only
That's
that,
right.
They need manpower. They'll call them. They'll do whatever. If they need them, they'll call them.
and some of the stuff they're doing is could be, shipping things or whatever. So heck yeah, call whoever you want to. Well, I saw this story, I think it was Friday night. People are still squawking about voter ID. I don't understand. Okay.
I'm squawking about it because we don't have it everywhere and it's not being enforced.
And I had to show an ID to go through to get in that TSA line to get on that plane. Let me show you, I had to have my ID out.
Good thing you had it.
Oh, yeah. So I looked up and you know, to hear some of these people that are against it, you know, you would think we're the only ones. I'm going to read you a list of countries that require voter ID. Canada does. Mexico does. Those are our two closest neighbors, okay?
How about England?
England
All
does.
you people squawk about, let's do it like England. Let's do this. Let's do that.
England requires it as of 2023.
And then you squawk about.
So here's the other ones. Germany, Italy, Switzerland, Ireland, India, Israel, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Poland, the Czech Republic, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Italy, Luxembourg, India, Israel, Japan now does, they used to not, South Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, Pakistan, Russia, England, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and Mexico.
Venezuela, not mentioned.
No. Why?
Why?
Yeah, you know full well why.
Because they don't care if you vote or not. They're going to
That's all
decide who.
fraudulent anyway.
Yeah, they're going to just take the ones that say, yeah, we want him.
So for all of y'all squawking, you act like you think this is just a U.S. thing. And in some places, this has been enacted for a long periods of time. Japan's a little newer to it, and so is the UK. But in Ireland, it's been a thing as some forever. And I know that from my grandparents and stuff. But so if ever all these other countries require it, why are we squawking about it? Why are people so against voter ID? But you will camp out at the DMV for a day or two to get your real ID to be able to get on an airplane.
No.
But you're worried about having an ID to vote for the people that basically govern what you do? Like, I don't understand the logic. Is there logic? Doesn't make sense to me. You got to have an ID. You go to the bank to draw your own money out. They ask you for ID. You go to the doctor's office. They ask you for ID.
Have you been to try to cash a check and hand it over a check at Food Line?
No, I don't do that.
You're going to have to get an ID.
Does anybody
Have
write
you been
checks
to?
Some people do.
Have you been to a bar?
It's been years since I've seen
Yeah.
them.
You have to show an ID.
In some bars, that doesn't matter because they do it regardless of your age.
Yeah.
Simply because here's the reason they do that. Y'all don't get excited. They don't think you're young. You might wish they did, but they do it so they can say, because there's a camera right behind there looking at you, they will say that I card everyone. When the time comes and they have to talk to an ALE agent, they can say the company's requirement is that we card everyone, and I card everyone. If I have carded him time and again and again and again, he becomes known to me, then I do not have to card him anymore. But I have to be able to show that he's been a customer of mine and I carded him before.
I had to show ID in Nashville.
So
we go to a bar. Yeah. I mean, that's why I understand.
It's the way it is.
Like, you have to show ID.
You tried to check out a book at the library? You've been to the library to get a book to check it out?
You have to show an ID. Schools have a school ID.
Not only do you have
Colleges
to
have an ID.
Not only at the library do you have to have a card, you better be a resident of the county.
Yeah, that's true.
Hello.
So what I don't understand the pushback.
What's your beef?
Because I want to know why do people are so up in arms?
Well, I can tell you why. Because they
ID?
say the Constitution doesn't require it. The Constitution does not require you to show an ID either to cash a check,
to
go to an ABC store, to go to a bar, to go check out at Food Line. They don't require you to have an ID card to do that. The Constitution does not require that, but common sense does, and we have adopted laws in this country that go above and beyond what the Constitution provides. We create laws to make sure that we are safe in this country. And that includes y'all.
Speaking of such,
Sometimes safe from yourselves.
Kelly, did you see the show Saturday night where in one of the counties they stopped a woman driving that had no ID and she said she was a sovereign citizen?
Oh,
She was traveling.
they're
Well,
funny.
she just kept saying, I don't follow maritime law.
Yeah. You
That was
don't
what
have
she
to.
kept saying.
Maritime law.
Yeah. She just kept saying, I don't follow maritime
Unless
law.
Is it maritime law on the ocean?
Unless you have a boat that doesn't
Yes.
apply.
She did.
That's what I thought.
And they kept
Okay.
saying, what's your social security? She says, I don't have a social security number. I have an EIN. Well, in order to get an EIN, you have to have a social security number.
Well, first of all, law enforcement does not have the right to require you to provide a social security number. Okay?
That's right.
That's a federal
Well, he
situation.
was trying to.
I don't understand it.
Dear.
They will all ask. You do not have to give them a social security number because if you give it to them, it's going to end up in the public records.
Right. They did ask her then, well, what do you do for work? She said, I'm a trustee of an estate trust. That's what.
Okay. What's that mean, y'all?
Anyway, she didn't leave driving. Her husband had to drive. But yeah, another sovereign citizen. I don't follow maritime law.
If you,
I don't have
if
to have
you
a
will,
license.
if y'all want to have a day of entertainment, you got nothing else cooking in your lives at the time, go ahead and go to YouTube and then do a search for John Legato.
I'm going to put it on here.
John Legato
Surely.
and his sovereign citizen videos. He's got them from cops all over the country. And it is like hilarious. He does a good job with it, but he's pulled these videos down from police cameras from everywhere. We have a caller.
Yes, Charlie. It's Charlie.
Good morning. You're live and local. May I ask who's calling, please?
I love how you guys automatically assume it's me.
I did not assume
only
that.
one that
I'd
calls.
ask who was calling.
As unknown. We've got you.
First of all, Kelly, it's very nice to see you. Nice to see you back in the chair.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Anyway, hey guys, listen. You should go back and look at your podcast on Facebook and YouTube. On
Right.
YouTube, it's a disaster.
Yeah, we
It's
know.
blurry. You can't see it. It's all over the place. But on Facebook, it's crystal clear.
We understand it. We cannot control what comes
think
out
it's a
of the.
YouTube
We
thing.
cannot control what comes out of the spigot, and it may not be bad here, because it could be bad at your location. It happens. We can't control it. I wish we could.
Right now on my end, it's showing clear.
Yeah, Facebook and
So
YouTube
you're
right
blaming,
here, just
so
a
you're
crystal clear.
blaming me.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm just
No,
blaming
we
where
would
you
never
live.
do
You need to
that,
move.
Charlie.
Hold on, I'm gonna check it on my phone.
Yeah, I
See
need
what
to
happens.
move. You're right.
We would
I'm
never
just-
do
Hey, Joe,
that.
listen, I just tuned into your guys' show. Anything new and positive? Any breaking news that you guys have brought to the table?
Please, if you have something positive, let's
We
hear
haven't
it.
talked about anything positive. We've talked
Yeah, we
about
did.
breaking
I know.
news.
Oh,
Nothing
We talked
positive.
about a lot of
I'm
local
about
stuff
to have
positive. We talked about a
stress
bunch
attack.
of people in a traffic jam buying a lot of plants, and they were all
We
legal
did do
plants.
that. Lee was
And
at
we
that,
talked about
yeah.
a very nice
Yeah.
service for Vietnam veterans here over the weekend. Yeah, we had a lot
Okay,
of
we
good stuff
did.
happening
Yeah.
here.
We talked about some negative and some positive. We'll find YouTube and see how we look.
I nailed a new impression.
You nailed a new impression.
Oh, well, let's hear
Is
it.
it anybody I know, or should I guess?
No, let's just hear it. Let's guess.
It's what I feel, and it's on Golden Pond. Henry, you can do it that way.
Oh,
Oh wow, very nice.
that was
That's
so
a good movie.
good.
I like her.
That was
Oh, that was Jimmy Stewart.
I know that.
Who's hurt?
This
You want
okay.
to hear my Jimmy Stewart?
Do
I
it.
thought we just did.
Who else can you do? Can you do a
Let's
female?
do Jimmy Stewart, the real Jimmy
No,
Stewart.
no, do Katy Perry.
Oh no.
I'm an
Yeah,
astronaut.
that's really bad.
I wouldn't even know what she
Yeah.
sounds like because I don't
All you
pay
gotta do is
attention.
sound
Okay.
high pitched for her.
I'm an astronaut.
My Jimmy Stewart would be. I'm going to improvise something. This is my impression of Jimmy Stewart. Trying to get his license renewed at the DMV. Well, what are you saying in there? I just want to go for a driving test. Maybe I can do it. I want to take a driving test. Yeah, that was really bad. They kind of sound like him. Correct?
I think it was marvelous.
I think we could identify
Oh,
with
wait,
that.
well, who said it was horrible?
No, I said marvelous.
Nobody said horrible.
Okay.
No, I thought it was great. You
Yeah.
did great impressions.
Now I can do
That
everything
was
from
good.
Michael J. Fox to Christopher Lloyd to. I'm working on Stephen Miller. He works for the White House under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You guys don't know who that is.
I like-
Yes,
I like
yes,
I
you.
do
yes.
know who he is, but I don't think
Yeah.
I've heard him talk.
I
But I
think-
know exactly who he is.
I think I'd like to hear you do Nancy Pelosi.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, don't.
You know what? I'm gonna work on that.
That would be
I'm gonna
good.
master.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do Nancy Pelosi when she's who's a well-known alcoholic other than Charlie? Who drinks more than who's a drunk?
W.C. Fields was one. And,
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. Hold on.
Come on now.
Hold on. Here's one you will remember. Foster Brooks.
Oh.
Who the heck is that?
I know who that is.
Oh,
I saw something recently. I've been
Good devil.
studying old comedians on the Tonight Show. By the way, guys,
God, I love
you're
him.
probably going to say, Charlie, I don't believe you, but you guys know that I used to actually write for the Tonight Show.
Yeah, you-
I actually
it doesn't
could
matter.
believe
You
that.
did tell us that,
I
and
do
I
believe
think
that.
I don't have any doubt of it. No reason to doubt you.
Okay. I learned something. I'm not sure if it's true. Dean Martin, I think I may be wrong, but I think he came across as someone that was a heavy drinker.
That's what he
But I
said.
read
That's
something
what
online
he
that
said.
he was not an alcoholic. It was all an act.
Well, that's like Foster Brooks. He acted like an alcoholic on the Dean Martin show when he was on the show, and I mean he was falling down drunk. I mean, yes, just the way he was, and then he'd sit down and play the piano like you had never heard before. He was like, "Good God." That's like Gober Pyle when he goes into his other real voice.
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard my Ronald Reagan impression?
I think you did that
I
for us
think
one
you
time.
did that.
How about my Bill Clinton?
Yes, we discussed.
Yeah,
Yes, you did that.
We discussed
that was
about
very good.
yeah, cigars and stuff. Yes.
Yes.
Well, look at Charlie trying to gain. Listen, hey, it's nice to see you guys, Kelly. It's great to see you back
Thank
in the
you.
middle chair. You rock. I'm going to reach out to you again. I'm going to
Okay.
hang up this call because hey, you guys have a good day. Take
All
care.
right, bye.
All right. Man, he does fabulous
He does.
impressions. He
He's
is
cool.
so good.
Did y'all know there was a shooting in Myrtle Beach this weekend?
Yes, there was one up here in North Carolina too.
I didn't hear about either one of them. I look for good news.
Yeah, one dead, 6 hurt in shooting at a North Carolina university. Guess where?
Where was that at?
Elizabeth City.
Oh, okay.
Elizabeth City State
There you go.
University's campus. Elizabeth City's been having a lot of issues lately.
Yeah, good Lord. 11 injured and one
Mhm.
shot by the police.
And Myrtle,
Yeah.
what did he do?
It happened right there on the strip. Probably drunk and acting a fool. I don't know. I haven't got there yet. I'm reading it now.
Did you see what Trump had put on
It's,
the White House lawn?
It's bike week. No, that's Daytona.
No, Bike Week. Yes,
It's in
no.
Daytona.
Yeah, Bike Week is always the
It's
week of my
like-
birthday.
It's like every week in
They-
Myrtle Beach.
what- He put Easter eggs on there last week. I don't know what he put on.
He's got
what.
signs up there of all the arrested illegals. He's got like big 24 by 30
Wow.
signs
Oh
with
my
their,
God, he
with their
does. That
photographs
is
on,
awesome.
on the White House lawn.
I love it.
I don't like that.
Uh-huh.
That is my lawn. I do not want him desecrating my lawn with scum.
Oh, I think it's awesome.
I think it's go find another place, like a dump. Put them in the dump. Put those signs lining a landfill, and I'll be happy with it.
Well, what about the New Mexico judge that had that guy living on his property that was a gang member, Venezuelan gang member?
I know, saw that. We talked about that
He's
the other
hollering
day.
and hooting about that.
Oh,
I just can't.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
my
it's
God.
the usual
Speed-
weekend of violence.
there's a guy on a speedboat as a racer. He was in Arizona on a lake, and he was trying to break 200 miles per hour.
Oh my word.
Well, you hit a little bump in the water, and there's
Yeah.
lots of little bumps in the water,
Mhm.
and he went airborne. I don't know his end the result of him, but he did. He went airborne out there in Arizona at an Arizona lake. I've seen some of those guys, not that fast, but I've seen them on TV. No, why would you do that? The video looks awful. There he goes. A little bit of ripple in the lake and a little bit of wind to catch it, flip end over end over end and sideways and plunges bow first into the lake.
Thank you, but no.
Sorry, buddy.
God,
Wouldn't want to be.
that is just crazy.
Hey, Ray, for the Myrtle Beach thing,
Uh-huh.
the suspect was 18 years old,
Yeah.
and the police judged him to be an immediate threat, and they fatally shot him. He done shot 11 people.
Well, what would you do? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
agree.
18
all I
or
know.
13.
Yeah.
If you start shooting people,
And it doesn't say why, what happened.
and you've got to be caught, and the only way you can be caught is to click bang, done. I'm sorry. I hate it for him. I hate it for the parents.
Too bad.
But he's
so
18
sad.
years old.
Yeah.
He's a grown man,
He was down there
Who
by
can vote?
by the boardwalk.
and he can't even own a gun.
Yeah.
Hello, cannot own a
So,
gun.
Nope. No.
So-
Where'd he get the gun? It was right by the Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yeah, well,
Right
believe it or
there at the
not,
big-
you lost.
Yeah.
So,
It doesn't say what happened.
okay. What else we got cooking around here? Yeah, Trump says he's got the White House lawn is a mug shot wall, 100 illegals. And so, or let me just read you a couple of sexual assault of a child, murder, sexual assault of a child, rape. And that's what these illegals that he's got headlining the lawn are. I know I wouldn't want their scum faces on my lawn.
Well,
I just don't even want them there.
I think
Go
the
away.
highlight is there, but also too, I mean, if you start to do what I would say would be a deep dive into them, I'm going to bet money that a lot of them have been deported more than once and came back. What's what you're finding?
I've told you
Yeah.
that before. My
Yeah.
solution, and that happened way before all this
Mhm.
influx of illegals started here. This happened back in the 15 years ago. What I wanted to happen, you come across the border and you
Mhm.
get caught. We know we're going to do nothing but turn you right around. And I was hearing from friends on the border patrol at that time saying, these guys, they keep coming back. We keep getting them. They keep coming back. We throw them back and we keep catching them. Tattoo them. Forehead. Bullseye target. Anytime you see one in north of the border, it's fair game for anybody.
Just put a barcode on them.
Why? You got to have a something to scan them. Put a tattoo on them. Everybody can see
Everybody's
it.
got a scanner on their phone.
No, I don't. And I'm not going to get close enough to barcode them or to scan them. But if you do that, how many of them do you think it would take before they would stop coming across this country a second time? If they got a tattoo up there, it wouldn't take many. When the word got around, they would stop a coming. They go find somewhere else to go.
Well, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
What will false reports to the Federal Election Committee, stealing the identities of donors to
Uh-oh.
engage in credit card fraud,
Uh-oh.
stealing political donations to purchase designer clothing, falsely claiming unemployment benefits, and making false statements to the House of Representatives, what will that get you?
Probably elected.
87 months in prison.
Ah,
George Santos,
Yeah, George,
He
you
got
got it.
7 years. Yeah.
former representative, U.S. representative for New York's 3rd Congressional
Uh-huh.
District.
And what was his political party of choice?
Republican.
Thank you.
Well, see, I'm not saying it's on. Yeah, it
That's
doesn't.
right.
It could be anybody.
We pick on everybody equally.
I'm just glad he was sentenced to 87 months.
As
Was
he
ordered
should
to
have been.
pay nearly $375,000 in
Good
restitution
luck.
and forfeit over $200,000 in ill-gotten gains.
And how old is he?
I wonder. He's like 30.
He's not that old, I don't
Yeah.
think, is he?
He
Is
should
he
have
going
known
to
better.
federal or state prison?
Federal.
Oh, that's
He
country
gone.
club life
Yeah,
right there.
he'll get a new.
Okay.
87
Well,
months.
I'm
He'll
not gonna
probably
say.
do at least 6 years of that.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm happy to see. I'm I'm happy to see him actually convicted and sentenced.
Oh yeah.
Because
Well-
sometimes, they just, look at Bob Menendez and his wife. She
Yeah.
was found guilty too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
He's
that. Yeah.
36.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Got a birthday soon. Happy
He looks
birthday
older
in
than
prison.
that, but okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's just like if you go online to somebody's political website and you donate using your credit card,
Oh God.
he was obtaining those credit card numbers and spending
Why would
on
you
those
do
credit
that?
cards.
I have
Oh, I
gotten to the
would
point
flip
now
my
that I am
lid.
unsubscribing to so many people
Yeah.
that do you support the president when he does this and this and this and this and this? And they want you to click yes. And if you keep on going down, contribute. How much would you like to contribute? $5 to $100 or other? They won't take zero on that response because I've tried.
Uh-huh.
I put 00.00 and it says invalid. Well, yeah, good. See ya. Unsubscribe. I don't care who it is. Why am I okay? Mr. and Ms. Y'all or Miss or other
She, her, you.
state representatives.
I'll
I mean,
fight you.
U.S. representatives, congressmen and women and others for all across these United States of America, send me emails requesting donations if you call their office or you email their office just to say something, the first thing they say, where do you live?
Hmm.
If you don't live in their district, they don't take
Yeah,
your
I'll talk to you,
calls.
yeah. I agree with that.
Did you know that?
I did know that
Mhm.
actually.
But they can send me a request for
Mhm.
money from anywhere
Oh,
in
heck
this
yeah.
country.
Oh,
Yeah.
They'll take my
yes.
greenbacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't give them the sweat off of the bottom of my feet.
See if I have any emails this morning.
Oh, I've got
I'll
hundreds.
tell you what.
I ignore most of them.
Oh, I do too.
But I have been not only deleting, but I put scam, and then I put, and then I unsubscribe to. I do all of the above, and then they send me with a different email address.
Kelly, I have got a story right up your alley for you this morning.
Let's hear it.
In Austin, Texas,
Hmm.
police have arrested a woman investigators believe forged death certificates,
Uh-oh.
cut off limbs of corpses to conduct embalming related experiments.
What?
The suspect, Adeline Bowie, 50, is charged with abuse of corpse without legal authority and tampering with government records. She's on a bond right now. She turned herself in. This was on April 18th. But
What
yeah.
is she creating her like
Zombies.
a zombie or Dr. Frankenstein
well-
situation? I mean, what a sicko. Is she practicing stuff? Like, why?
There's been so many crazy stories about funeral homes coming out
It's
recently.
just scary.
It's not just recently.
No, recently,
It's been going
on the
on for
news.
so long. Yeah, back in Vietnam, that we had one of our funeral homes here was participating in that
Mhm.
smuggling heroin. Oh yeah, they were sewing the heroin
No
up
way.
in body cavities, and they were sending them home.
And then
And then
Opening-
and whatever
yeah.
participating funeral home there were,
that's clever.
they would
But
they got
wrong,
them all
but
busted,
clever.
and including the funeral homes. They
Well, good.
yeah.
She involved
Sick.
her injecting formaldehyde into the arms to see the effect it had over time on severed. Then
Who
she
is
used.
she trying to preserve? Sicko.
And
Well, they did that
So
with
crazy.
Lincoln, so he could, and this was new. Embalming was new in those
Ooh.
days.
Speaking
Who
of
thinks
sad,
that up?
They did that with Lincoln because it was a new
Right.
thing, and then he took the train ride all
Mhm.
over across the country type thing, right? You know that, right?
Did not know why.
Oh, yeah.
I probably did and
And
I
then
forgot
it.
he would
Train
go from
ride.
place to place, and on the box of whatever car he was on would have a showing wherever they would stop of
Did-
the,
that's
of the
creepy.
dead president. Oh, it's creepy.
That's super creepy.
And then that embalming process was new, and it didn't last in that. It was April when he died,
Mhm.
when he was killed, and it was getting warm in a lot of parts of the country.
good.
And it wasn't
Ugh,
taking
so
effect in
gross.
a lot. They had to keep rebalming him, giving updates as they went along.
well,
How's that?
speaking of death.
That's sick.
Anybody watch any of the Pope services
I
this
did
weekend?
not.
I figured you did. I didn't. I figured you'd tell
I
us about
started
it.
like 4:00 in the morning,
Yeah.
and I will say that no, I was not awake at 4, but a little after. But oh my gosh, I'm telling you, the pallbearers. I don't know in Catholic terms, do you call them that? But they had the Pope's coffin on top of like a wooden platform covered with what appeared to be red velvet, and each were holding a handle to it. And they must have walked a mile carrying him into the church. And you could tell some of them were getting ready to drop. I mean, and everybody on the comments was like, they're going to pass out. You know, I kept saying, please, please, please
Don't do that.
please don't drop him.
Give him some
But
water.
it was
Gatorade.
I don't know about the Catholic religion
Don't either.
much. And watching some of the things they did, the pageantry was beautiful. The outfits were beautiful.
Had great
Um,
candles.
Yeah, the beautiful candles. But then I actually saw the night before when they went to seal the coffin,
Mhm.
which was really kind of, it was kind of freaky to watch. But for me, I mean, they took like a white towel and they went and it was a white sheet or something, and they put it over his face. And then they took like this aluminum piece of metal and put it over his body. I mean, it wasn't touching his body, obviously. And then they sealed that. And then they would take like what appeared to be like a glue gun, hot glue gun, and make dollops, and the cardinal, whoever would go press it with some type of stamper, for a seal.
Sealed.
And it is, not sealed to seal, but a special seal like you would do on an envelope or something. And then they put the wooden top on, and then it didn't show them actually putting the bolts, but it was like,
That's a process.
Yes. And you don't usually, but it was right. It was a pine box.
Mhm.
It was not fancy. And that's what he went away
He was
in.
not
But
fancy.
yeah, he was a very ordinary
Very-
person.
Very
He didn't
humble. Yeah.
like very humble. Yes, that's the perfect word. But it was and of course Trump was there, and a lot of foreign leaders, and it was a beautiful service. I will say that the Catholics, like before it actually started, there was 2 lines they were singing. It was the same 2 lines over and over and over. Of course, I don't understand that religion, but I finally had to mute it because I thought if I hear that line one more time. But other than that, I mean, they went into other songs, but beautiful pageantry, the outfits, the robes that they wear, absolutely gorgeous. I mean,
I assume the singing was in Latin, right?
yeah, I couldn't tell.
Okay.
I finally kind of had to mute it because I noticed that will just repeat. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but beautiful service.
Want to go offshore? Yep. This
Yeah,
will be a good week
let's
to
go.
do at least the first part of it. Don't know about the last part of it. Today, northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, east 3 to 4 feet, about 2 feet near shore, average of 3 footers every 8 seconds. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Tuesday, tomorrow, southeasterly winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming southerly in the afternoon, seas 2 to 3, sounds and rivers a light chop. Wednesday, still switching around, going to be through the southwest. When the winds are from the west, the fishing is best. 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 3, sounds and rivers a moderate chop.
Today, sunny, high of 78. Tonight, clear, low of 50. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 80. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, low of 59. And on Wednesday, sunny, high of 86. Before we go, I have a real quick question. Okay, so North Carolina House is coming, or the legislature's back in session this week or whatever.
Right.
And there's a bunch of bills that the House is going to, go to committee. Look like apparently they're going to be voting on this week.
Mhm.
One of them, which I think is super cool, did not know it was not already a thing, House Bill 288 requires the POW MIA flag to be flown at all state government buildings and public schools. I'm cool with that one.
Yeah,
I don't have
that's
a
fine.
problem with that one.
Is that on particular days or?
No, it just says we're required. I'm assuming the way I'm reading this, it would be all the time.
That would be up there with the state and
Yeah,
the federal flag,
That's,
US
I
flag.
think it's a cool thing. I have
yes,
no
I'm
issue
assuming.
with
I
that
don't
one.
have an issue with that.
House Bill 368 would change state regulations around when children have to be in car seats by using height and weight requirements instead of just weight. And it would also mandate that infants be in rear-facing car seats. I did not know. It's a safety recommendation. I didn't know it's not a state law. I thought it was.
I didn't
You
don't
know,
recall it being a state law.
It's
yeah,
funny
I
that you
don't-
say that because
yeah.
I was just thinking yesterday, something came up and made me think about it. When my daughter was little, and you just had these little teeny plastic car seats, you just popped them up out of the stroller, set them in the seat, you put a seat belt around it, and it's Charlie, and that was it. And my gosh, I don't know how our kids lived back then.
Well, and there's just one more
Well, you didn't
that
have
I
car
wanted to
seats.
know that I did
See?
not know this was a thing, Rayford. And how did I not know this? House Bill 439. It would largely repeal the rules that currently make it a crime to carry a concealed knife. I didn't know you couldn't carry a concealed
It
knife.
depends upon what the knife is. I mean, you can
Mhm.
carry a typical knife, pocket knife.
Like a little
generally.
pocket knife,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can do that, but sometimes those knives get to be a little bit bigger, or there may be a
Mm-hmm.
locking blade knife, which most of the knives today are locking blade
Yeah,
knives.
correct.
Not that's for safety purposes.
I have one
You
in
don't
my
want to have
purse.
that knife in your hand and it just the blade closes a bite. You push it, you're doing something that it
Mhm.
shuts down, and it's not a locking blade locking it open. You can cut your fingers off if it's a
Okay.
good knife.
I don't know why I didn't know that was not already. How I missed that one.
Oh, at one time there were, the old switchblades type thing.
Well, I'm glad.
I don't know whether they let you carry switchblades now or not.
I don't know, but I'm glad I checked my purse before I went through TSA because I forgot I had a knife in there.
Oh God, I have to check my
Would've been a
camera
hot
bag, my
mess.
pockets, everything in the world I've
That
got
would've
before
been
I
a
fly.
hot
'Cause
mess.
I just never know what I'm going to have in any
I
of that
was like,
stuff.
oh, thank God I found it.
Okay, let's go back to. I think we're going to go over towards. I think Colorado Springs now. Good morning. Who's this?
Colorado Springs.
Yeah. My name is
Jose Jimenez.
Hey, I'm going to ask Lee a question.
Yes, sir.
You just gave a breakdown of the funeral, the procession
Yes.
with the Pope, and you were kind of dismissive of it.
No, I didn't mean
think
to
you were.
be.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I interpreted your assessment of it wrong. Am I wrong? Or
You're wrong.
what
I
does
said it was
hyperbole-
absolutely.
What does the hyperbole mean?
I said it was absolutely a beautiful service. I don't understand a lot about the Catholic religion and how they do things. And I said that listening to some of the singing that is just repeated after repeated after repeated, that I don't understand. But other than that, I think it was an absolutely beautiful service.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not. I'm not educated enough to articulate the history of God, our
Mhm.
so-called creator. I was listening to Charlie Kirk earlier. He's this like 35, 40-year-old guy.
Yes, I
who
like
got-
Charlie.
No, I was watching him earlier. He's giving a breakdown of all the different people that wrote elements of the Bible. What's my point? I'm not sure that I believe that Jesus was a son of God. I'm not sure there's an explanation of our origin, of why we are here. And it'd be cool if you guys could say, you know what, Charlie? I can't say specifically, but here's my opinion. I'm just curious. Do you guys have like a strong belief or knowledge or something you know about that you could educate me on? Say, this is why we are here. This is who our creator is. Can you articulate that for me?
I can't articulate it, but I can sum it up. People will ask you, "Are you a believer?" And I will say, "Yes, I am a believer." To what extent that I am a believer, I cannot. And then if you're going to go up against somebody, let's go up against a Charlie or go up against a whoever out there, and it says, "Well, what proof do you have?" None. I deal in facts and proof and the other parts of my life that I've dealt with, right? I had to have proof to do things. and they ask, well, what proof do you have? I have to turn it around. Do you have proof that it does not exist? That we did not originate the way we have learned in the Bible that we originated. And then they will start pointing out, oh, well, then there's the descending from the apes and yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's your belief. And let's just say that that's true. Does that mean that our Savior, shall we say, our Creator did not create us in the form of apes to begin with, and it just evolved from there? I don't know. I can't explain it. I will just tell you that I'm a believer. How does that sound?
I mean, it's your opinion.
Yes, it is.
Just as great as anyone else's.
Thank you.
I just don't know. I don't really know anything. I'm here right now. I'm calling into your show. Who knows, maybe 6 days or 60 days from now, or maybe 60, well, not 60 years. I'm going to be gone by then. I don't have an understanding of anything, but I'm fascinated by people that are convinced when they say, we know our existence. I'm like, really? Really? Okay.
And their hearts is usually the way they will explain it to me. In my heart, I believe, and that's the way I've done it too. In my heart, I believe this is the way it came. I have no proof otherwise. And I assume.
You pray?
Yeah.
You pray? You believe that there's a God in you? Like,
but it's not going to be sitting around in a group session or sitting down with my knees on the floor, leaning on the bed and yada, yada, yada. No. But yeah, I think probably a big chunk of us pray in our own way, and to the gods that we
worship in our own way,
and we worship in our own way, or we don't. That's our choice.
Yeah. Okay. Charlie has nothing to add to this.
Well, you're working it out, Charlie. You'll get there.
I have no clue about anything. Charlie's an idiot. Charlie has no clue about anything.
Charlie is anything but an idiot. Quit it.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Bye.
You too.
Okay, now I'm gonna do one. You ready?
Go ahead. Go with it.
And Kelly might even like it, so she might even listen here.
She's leaving. She's had enough.
Can you understand what you mean when you say you don't trust journalists these days?
Yes.
A big chunk of people don't trust journalists. We hear it all the time. The last journalist I trusted was whoever.
There's a whole bunch of politicians I don't trust. So
I think most of us think of members of that group we call the mainstream media these days when we consider whether or not we trust the media.
Right.
We reference the mainstream media when we say we don't trust the media, right? It's the mainstream media. What is the mainstream media? Back in the day, that means less than a decade ago, if a decade is termed to be 10 years. I'm thinking that's what the definition of a decade is, generally referenced to be 10 years. The definition back in the day was, and is generally thought of as major newspapers, television and radio news outlets. That's the mainstream newspaper, or mainstream news media of a decade or more ago.
Correct.
Today, I'm not totally convinced, having come from local television and radio media, that cable or satellite or internet only outlets claiming to be news outlets really qualify. And that may be the problem. Are they the mainstream media? Have the cable, satellite, internet only outlets claiming to be news outlets, have they actually become news outlets? Are they the mainstream media of today? I don't know of any of those at this point in time. You got some flash in the pans. You got the Tucker Carlsons. You got what was the blonde that got the boot?
Megyn Kelly.
I
love her.
Yeah, but do you consider her mainstream media? If you look back in the days of, I don't know, Chet Huntley, David Brinkley.
Those,
And, even Dan Rather.
Coppola.
He was Ted Coppola, but he was Dan Rather was one of the sort of a rebel sometimes, and sometimes he may have made stuff up or enhanced it or whatever. I know how he got his start in television and network news.
Right.
I read his book, and it was pretty interesting. I know, and I understand most of the traditional media outlets, mainstream media outlets, the NBC, CBS's, the newspapers, the Atlanta Journal, the New York Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, all of those newspapers, they've got digital footprints these days.
Yes.
Even the newspapers have got video.
Yes.
Their poor photographers got to shoot stills and video. Oh my God, poor guys. Certainly, the TV networks all have digital outlets. And I can't think of even small market newspapers that being able to survive without a digital presence these days. First of all, it's hard to find enough newspaper, that means paper,
Right.
in print to make it to be called a newspaper. So for today's definition of mainstream, I guess it's pretty safe to lump them all together as being mainstream. And that goes against my grain, but it is what it is. So what are those platforms that produce their versions of news, whether it's local, national, or international? What are they called if they're not called mainstream? Paul O'Brien is the CEO of Media Tech Ventures, the CMO of Pound VC, Pound Startup Advisor, and in his bio, he claims that he can get you funded. In an article for some media outlet called Medium, what an original, Mr. O'Brien writes that the mainstream media, which has been labeled as one-sided, not that very fair or balanced as some claim to be, certainly not middle of the road, or as the song goes, both sides now is now referred to as legacy media. Mainstream media has been replaced by legacy media. It's the same thing. I won't try to define it. Bottom line is it's all the same thing. Legacy sounds nicer, and it's likely being more receptive these days. The original conveyors of just the facts, ma'am, have been interrupted by the standalone digital platforms, those that do not even pretend to bring us news based on facts. That's most of the ranting that I'm going to do. But it all started, what I'm talking about today, was when I was researching student loans. Mixed in with the Biden and Obama administrations and attacked by the Trump administration. The article was on the page called Straight Arrow News. It's available on YouTube should you have to desire to delve into the unknown. It's got a video stand-up dude, supposedly some sort of a journalist. I don't know, I doubt it. It reads, from December 2024, as then President Biden was working his way to the door. This is what the story goes. The Biden administration has announced $4.28 billion in student loan forgiveness for 55,000 public service workers. Okay, I'll interrupt for just a second. The average money those 55,000 public service workers owed in student loans, if that is a fact, was over $77,000 each. But he supposedly forgave it. Continuing, this latest round of cancellations brings the total amount of debt relief approved by President Joe Biden to nearly $180 billion for approximately 4.9 million borrowers. Interrupting again, that amounts to almost $27,000 for each borrower. Some people say it amounts to a little bit more. The borrowers included in the announcement are part of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. That's what the story says. The story continues. The Obama administration established the program in 2007. Whoops. Anytime you read a story where they say that Obama's administration back in 2007 established this program, Obama was elected in 2008, took office January of 2009. There was no administration, but they put this out as fact. So if I can't believe them and they make a stupid error like this, which has been since December that this thing has been making the rounds, and they have not corrected it, no wonder we question everything that we read. We should question everything that we read and hear. You don't care. I understand that the facts are that there was no Obama administration in 2007. Maybe you just don't care. Maybe that's why we have problems trusting the mainstream media, because so many people like this. By the way, they only have 170,000 viewers, followers.
I think a lot of them too spin it the way they want you to believe.
I don't think they know the difference. The guy that wrote this probably was, let's see, this is 2024 when it was written.
Right.
He was probably 5 years old in 2007.
I very, 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 very seldom watch mainstream media.
What is mainstream media?
Well, I'm thinking back to the days of ABC, NBC, CBS, and now you have Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC.
Breitbart, everything in the world out there. But you're just talking about the
NBC.
television element. The other newspapers are included in the mainstream media.
But since we don't have the option to get a daily newspaper.
Yes, we do. We get it online, but it's not daily.
You have to pay.
Yeah.
You have to pay. And now sometimes I will go up, and what I generally do when something breaks out, I go to that town's media. And it's just like last night with the ferry boat and the boat.
Yep.
I went on and watched ABC News 5 from Florida.
Yeah.
And they were showing the whole scene live.
Yep.
And so that's where I get a lot of my information, what I see with my own eyes. And I have a lot of podcasters that I follow that do the same thing. Do I take to heart some of them, what they say? No. There's this one guy, if anybody's ever watched him, it's called JLR Investigates. He does his own news. His name is Jonathan Lee Riches. I did not realize, I thought he was kind of odd, but then I was watching another podcast that was talking about him. Came to find out, if you go to Wikipedia on him, you don't want to watch anything he puts on there. Nothing at all. So you have to kind of like vet even the people that are putting on the news, these private news organizations and stuff. Yeah, it's all crazy.
I'm going to go back to the story that got me started in the first place.
Okay.
The then president of these United States may have pulled the wool over some students who have loans to pay back by telling them he was going to forgive their debts. Do you have any idea how much money is owed by the students who took out loans, not including the amounts that some of them have already repaid? You know how much outstanding debt there is for student loans? Outstanding, that means what is still owed.
No, I do not.
A couple $100 million.
Wow.
About $1.6 trillion. You know how much $1 trillion is?
It's a lot of money.
That's $1,000 billion.
I'll take a little bit of it.
$1.6 trillion is what is the outstanding balance owed on the student loans. I know that's a lot of zeros there. Let's do it this way. For every man, woman, and infant in this country, legally, 330 some million, that amounts to more than $4,800 each. If the government of this country would demand that every citizen, man, woman, and child, obviously we know families with 10 kids in it, the kids are not going to cough up $4,800, so you're going to have to cough up $48,000 for those 10 kids. If every man, woman, and children was ordered to pay, take it out of your salaries. We're going to take money out of your salaries to make up that $1.6 trillion. It would take $4,800 each to get there. Okay, forget about that. If all Americans, including children and senior citizens, had to cough up enough money to repay the money still owed on student loans right now, each and every legal American, almost $5,000. $5,000. It's okay. The political word is a game. Last fall, think about what was going on last fall. Politics, an election, a desire to win re-election. So The political word game was actually not meant to forgive students with loans to repay. It was only a delay in when they needed to start making payments again. That's according to Donald Trump. And students who thought they were going to be forgiven for all that money will have to start making payments again. In reality, there's little that the federal government has done in the past and little that will be done in the future to get those outstanding debts cleared up. Why? Student loans do not require the borrower to put up any kind of equity, no collateral, or to take out a second mortgage to guarantee the loans. If they took out a second mortgage to guarantee the loans, then they could go after the house or whatever they took the loan out on. There's not much chance that anything can be done to collect from those that refuse to pay. Those who put their educations to use, going into professions that netted them more than just a living wage, still ended up with car payments, rent, or home pay or mortgages, and all of the rest of the stuff that you deal with in the real world. So once they got their education and they're making good money, they bought a big old home before they repaid the loans. They bought a big old car and all the other stuff, maybe a boat or 7.
Cars, houses.
In many
and gifts to
cases,
children.
perhaps all cases, your student loan debt does not count against your ability to get loans for homes, cars, or boats once you're out of school. They don't hold it against you if you've got an outstanding debt. You can get credit cards up the yin yang, even if you owe $70,000 in student loan debts. Just how
Interest
many
rate.
people go to their graves with major outstanding student loan debts? How many have died and never repaid those loans? Any idea? I don't.
I imagine quite a lot.
So that's what you get when you're talking about student loans and the repayment of student loans and the forgiveness of student loans. No, they say you're still going to have to pay them back. Biden just put them on delay so he could get through the election and look pretty good,
Well,
didn't
that's
he?
what you do. That's
He looked pretty good. That's not what politics is about, but that's what politics have evolved to
what
be.
it is.
Politics used to be you stand up on a stump and lie to people, go from place to place to place, and you never tell the same story twice. You just told them what they wanted to hear because there was no TV, no radio, no newspapers covering them.
I just want to let you know that our friend John Legato has just posted another YouTube. This one is Cops Fooled by Frauditor.
Yeah.
That ought to be good.
Oh, yeah. Fool me once, you're going to suffer.
Yes. Well, I think that, are we at the 100 days now?
Yeah, right at it. Real close to
Well,
it.
Maybe tomorrow we can focus on we have time this morning, people calling in and giving their opinions on how
The
they
first
think
100 days, are you
the
better
first
off
100
now than you were
days.
last year at this time or 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Right. And Charlie?
Good morning, sir. Are you better off, sir or ma'am? Are you better off today than you were 2 years ago?
It's
So
100
listen,
days.
I'd like to do 3 more impressions if I can.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Do you guys know who Carol Channing is?
Yes, I do.
I loved watching
Love her.
movies.
She's funny.
So a couple of years ago, I was trying to do an impression of Carol Channing. And a friend of mine said, you know what, Charlie? That's actually not my real name. But she said, Charlie, that just sounds nothing like Carol Channing. It sounds like, remember the Montel Williams show where they had that psychic called Sylvia Brown?
Yeah,
I do. Yes.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know, but I
Yes.
was not a big fan of Mr. Williams, but I did watch him from time to time. And I remember
No,
Sylvia.
yeah, they're all
She had a
idiots.
good name.
But here's a brilliant impression of Carol Channing and Sylvia Brown. Get this, sweetie. It doesn't matter. You know what? You don't need a man in your life. You know what? You need to get a cat. That's all you need. That's going to take care of all your love in life.
Okay, I got 2 cats. Want to borrow one?
Oh, well, hold on. Do you guys not? Does that sound kind of like?
A little bit.
Carol Channing?
Yeah, her voice wasn't quite that raspy, but I got your inflections are very good.
Oh, okay, all right. Who's the other one? Hey, you remember the movie Sling Blade?
Yes.
With,
yeah. Oh, that guy creeps me out.
What's the guy's name?
Oh, give me a second.
I reckon you can do it. I reckon you can do it that way. You know, you can do it that way. Oh, guys.
He was.
I'll work on that.
Did you ever
The
watch?
other one I have-
Did you ever watch Rich Little? Any?
I was going to bring him up earlier.
He's one of my favorite
Yeah,
impressions.
but I think
Mine
Rich
too.
Little was Rich Little a hack, or was he really good? Did he? Do
He was
impression?
good. He was very good.
Wasn't it Anthony Hopkins?
I saw him
So,
live
okay,
in Greensboro one year.
If you had to go back
Oh,
and you
wow.
think about from the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, with impressions that Rich Little did, which impression would you say that he mastered?
Johnny
And you
Carson.
would say, "Wow."
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Carson. He was absolutely. Close your eyes and you think it was Carson.
Who else?
Well, that's the one that comes to mind right up front. He did so many celebrities. He did a lot of celebrities. He did pretty much every president.
Who was the
Oh,
other
Richard
guy?
Nixon. He did
Who
Richard
was
Nixon.
the other guy? There was another guy that I don't think that did strong impressions.
Hmm.
Fran, not Tarkenton, not what was that guy's name?
No,
It's not popping in my mind.
yeah, I'm not sure
I want to do an impression of Abraham Lincoln. You want to know why?
because nobody knows what he sounded like.
Nobody, not one single. It's not recorded, so you could say anything, and you could
Yep.
say, "You know what, Charlie? I think you've mastered Abraham Lincoln."
Yeah,
I haven't formulated it, but nobody knows, or even like a Betsy Ross, like Lee. Nobody knows what Betsy Ross's voice sounds like.
I
I
do.
can come up with anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
pass the needle and the thread. I got some stars to sew on this thing. Go ahead.
Oh God.
That's about it. I mean, who's to say I'm wrong?
You might be right. I want to sew a white star here, and I want to a white star there. And you're like, you know what? That's a perfect impression of Betsy Ross.
Absolutely.
That flag bitch. No, I wouldn't say she's a flag bitch. No.
Nah.
My gosh.
And you know what I get a kick out of watching your guys' show? I like to see those little animals running around your podcast.
Wait, I have one.
Do we
It
have one in
actually
here
makes
now?
me happy.
Come here. Come here.
What is it?
So we've got one in the studio here. So I'm at least
Yeah, but it
trying
makes me
to
happy.
get him on our lap.
Actually, I think your audience likes to see. Is it just one animal, or is it more than one animal?
I think we have 5 right now in the house.
Are you
Well,
serious?
4 in the
Are you
house,
serious?
1 in the studio.
You guys, you got to
Let's
put
see 'em.
those animals on the podcast.
We do
There's
from
something
time to
about
time.
watching the show. They like your show. But when you see animals, it's kind of relaxing.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna bring in
You know,
one of mine.
it calms people down. They want to see these beautiful animals.
I'm gonna bring a goldfish in.
Oh,
Then I'm gonna catch him and cook him.
Hey, so let me ask you a question. I'm looking at your live cam right now. I
Yes.
see a picture of Donald Trump, and to the right, I see live love laugh. And then I see a donkey. Who put those pictures up?
I think I'm responsible for absolutely putting them up, but they all are gifts. Let's see. Did all of them come from the same person? They all came from Theo, didn't they?
Yes, they
Yeah,
all
that's the
came from
Theo
the same
wall.
person.
You know Theo. You've talked about Theo before.
Well, is Theo the athletic guy?
No,
No.
he's the he's the gentleman that calls in and calls us deplorables.
So okay, so so the flag to the left next to the American flag, it's like a circular red, white, and blue flower origin with the American flag.
The wreath,
What does
yes.
that represent? Who put that up?
I put it up. I have someone, a good friend and a relative by marriage who makes these wreaths. She makes them for all occasions. And since we are very pro-American here, U.S. American, we respect the flag, and I love the freedom part of it.
Right. If that's us. We support law enforcement
Yep.
reef. So we back the blue.
The red, white, and blue.
You know, I've never heard. Do you guys ever get callers that call in and they're like, they denounce your values and your morals, and like you guys are like super racist, and you need to follow the Democratic Party, and you know you're racist, blah blah blah, because you're not following the Democratic Party.
I don't think
You ever
anybody's
get those
called me
calls?
racist, and I'm not a Republican, so they can't use that against me. But
We've
I-
had callers that challenged our opinions
Oh,
having
yeah,
to do with
periodically.
politics quite often.
So Richard, you're not a Republican.
no,
He's one of
How do
those
you identify politically?
myself.
independent.
I'm
Yeah, when you go to vote,
I'm
And where
independent.
it says vote Republican, Democrat, or other, which one do you pick?
If I was going to be, if I had one that said if I could vote Democrat, Republican, or other, I'd be other. But they don't have that available on the ballots. On a general election, they do not ask you what ballot that you want. There's only one. You vote however you want for the Republican or the Democrat that's listed on that ballot. Anybody can vote for either or.
But in a primary,
In the primary in North Carolina, I don't know how it is in all states, but in North Carolina, you have to select either the Republican ballot or the Democrat ballot. I usually request one of each, and that just creates confusion when I get to the voting place. But they look at me like I got three heads. I said, no. I says I'm not either, so I'd like one of each. Makes sense to me. What about you?
Do you know that 100% of the people looking at your program, if they had to say, okay, do these two these hosts, are they Republicans or Democrats? Do you know that 100% of people would say that you guys are Republicans?
I know some of them would. I don't know about 100%.
I am. I've been a Republican all my life.
Half of us is. The other, well, half of us is half-assed Republican.
You're not a Republican?
No, never have been.
Wow.
Wow. Why?
Wow. I would definitely be a Republican.
May I explain to you why I'm not either? Because way back when I was a member of a party, it was because there was no other party in my voting area where at the time there was not a Republican who lived here. I don't think. There may have been three, but in this county, when I was growing up in this county, there was not a Republican that ever ran for office, or was definitely none who, if they did run, was ever elected. So by all the elections were decided at the primary, believe it or not. So I just took on exactly what my family was. I registered as a Democrat. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had a thing to do to vote for it. No one to vote for in the primary. There were no Republicans running for the most part. Then I moved and got into the television news business as a news director, and I had a candidate who was running for sheriff at that time called me one day and said, well, at least I'm glad to see you're a member of the right party. And I said, uh-oh. I made a beeline for the Board of Elections, and that was many a year ago, and I changed my affiliation to unaffiliated because I do not want any political candidate thinking that I, as a journalist, as the TV news director, the big boss of all these journalists, that I would be leaning left or right in anything. I made sure they did not see that. I've never had I did have a bumper sticker on my car one time because one of my staffers jokingly put a Hillary for president bumper sticker on. It stayed there long enough for me to take it off, but it was a joke. I've never carried political bumper stickers. I don't have political signs in my yard. I've made two exceptions, and that's since I've been doing the talk show, but not as a matter of routine. They asked, and I said, okay. If you don't ask, I don't volunteer any of that stuff. That's me. I don't wear signs for any candidate. Nobody knows if I'm supporting anybody. They may get a thought that I am. In fact, what was really great in television was I knew I was on the right trail the day that I would get two calls, one from somebody on the Republican side, one from somebody on the Democrat side, complaining to me about the same story, that I was leaning the other way. I knew I was right at that point in time.
Charlie, I have a question.
I have a question for him, but you go ahead and ask me. Go ahead.
When you said you used to write for the Tonight Show, which comedian was the Tonight Show at the time? Was it
Lana.
who? Oh, Leno?
Yeah, Lana.
Yeah, I liked him.
I saw Leno
No, I
before he
used
was
to
on the
write for-
Tonight
no, I
Show. He's
used
at
to write
Rice
for the
Beach.
Tonight Show. I wrote for the LA Times. But hold on, I'm fascinated by Rayford right now.
Uh-oh.
You can ask me whatever question you want to ask. Hey,
Oh,
Rayford,
well, I've heard this story.
I'm
That's just
fascinated by what you just said to me, and I listened to what you said. I dissected it. I did not interrupt you.
No.
So when Trump ran against Biden, when you went to the election booth, who did you vote for?
I have yet to tell anybody who I voted for.
Okay, so I respect you. I really like you. I'm not going to be one of those instigators. Trust me, people hate me online, and I love that they hate me. And I don't want you guys to hate me.
I don't hate you.
So okay, I would think that you had voted for Trump. So I'm not going to. If you want to say who you voted for, I mean, I'm just curious. Who did you vote for? And just say, Charlie, this is what it is. I'm not going to say.
I am not going to say there. And there's only one time that I have publicly said who I voted for, and that was when Hillary Clinton was running. I would have voted for the friendly neighborhood dog catcher before I would have voted for her. She was a traitor to this country. She was inept to this country. She was inept as Secretary of State, and she was a disgustingly bad wife for the President of the United States. And she's a bad American.
Okay, can I say one quick thing?
Sure.
yes, you may.
Everything online is recorded. So, Lee, you asked me with regards to my writing, with regards
Yes.
to who I wrote for,
Yes.
because this can come back to haunt me. By the way, I'm going to probably end up doing a podcast.
Oh, good.
And
Let me
Kelly,
know.
I've had a couple conversations with her. I had I had a contract with the Tonight Show where I would submit jokes to them.
Right.
So I don't want to come back and say, Charlie said he was a writer. I had a contract where I would send them material. Also, I auditioned for Saturday Night Live 4 times. I had 4 contracts with them. So you're going to come back, this may haunt me years later, because there are some people in my life, I'm very careful how I word this. Years like, Charlie, who cares? You're nothing. There's some people that are kind of famous that have kind of caused me some difficulties in my life, and I'm going to destroy these human beings. So I know that you guys are like, you're an online podcast radio show. This is being recorded. This may be dug up maybe 2, 4, 6, 10 years from now. So I'm not even sure what I just said. So any other questions, Lee?
No, but when you
I'm
do
not sure
a
what I just said.
podcast, we want to know because I'll watch. Then I get to
Say it
call
again?
in on your show.
I love your show. Your show is much better than any show. Listen, there's a subreddit. You guys know what Reddit is, right?
Yes.
Reddit, you know
Yes.
what Reddit is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There are Reddit. there are subreddits on there where I use different aliases, other names that are Charlie Reddits. But you guys have the best show ever. I love this show. Yeah, I think you guys would be surprised if I gave you some of the names that I go by. It is what it is.
Do you ever use the name, the alias Bubba?
It's really, really weird. I want to share something with you guys right now, but I'm concerned if I share something with you, it's going to come back and haunt me. I want to destroy some famous people's lives, and I'd like to say it right now on your program. But yeah, I got to
Do me one favor, okay?
What's that?
If you're planning to destroy their lives, if you're going to commit any illegal acts, I would strongly suggest you not tell me, because as a district attorney told me one time, did they ever unswear you, take your oath away that you took? And I said, nope. He said, "Yep, that's right."
Hey, Rayford, can I ask you a question with regard? I think we may have broached this topic before.
All right.
What are your thoughts on polygraph tests?
They are a tool and only a tool. It can help in an investigation, just like blood samples can help, like gunshot residue can help. Gunshot residue on a man's hand does not prove I say GSR testing does not prove that the man actually fired a gun.
What is
Gunshot
GSR?
gunshot residue test. It does not guarantee that the man pulled the trigger on that particular gun that was used to commit a murder, but it's there. He's done something around a substance that resembles gunshots that would resemble something. It's only a tool. It's used as part of an investigation, and that's all. There are people, honestly, who can lie straightforward in a polygraph. There are people that cannot. They could tell the truth, and it'll look like they're lying because they're scared to death. It happens, but you have to establish some sort of a. You have to have a base of whether you know they're lying and when they're telling the truth, and sometimes that's kind of hard to tell too. It's some polygraphs are all over the place. A great polygraph operator is a great investigator.
So, have you ever taken a polygraph test before you got your job in law enforcement?
Nope.
Did you take a polygraph?
Did not have to in those days.
Seriously, but now they have to take them. Correct?
I don't know. Some agencies do probably, and they will limit the scope. I mean, have you ever lied? Absolutely, every day. I mean, I did as a cop. If I'm out there on the streets and I'm buying dope from you a cop? You think I look like a dang old stinking cop? Yeah, no, I'm not a cop.
Hey, Rayford Lee,
Yes.
you want to know something bizarre
Yes,
about me? I've called into your show for the last, 6 months or a year.
Yes,
There are multiple people that I put in writing with attorneys. I've taken polygraph tests, and I've offered them upwards of $20,000 to take a polygraph test to answer certain questions. You know what the response to me was?
No way.
They're not going to take it.
Yeah.
But I took it.
Well, if the results are going to be published and you wanted to, I mean, I've got nothing left to do anything but lie about if I want to. If you ask me questions, and there's a good chance I'll be lying to you, and there's a good chance I won't be lying to you, and you wouldn't know whether I'm lying or not.
This is really bizarre. This is a really bizarre question. But I think and by the way, you guys, Charlie, we need to end this. We need to end this conversation.
Yeah,
we
we're
need
out
to
of
move
time.
on.
Yeah, we're out of time for one thing.
Can I ask you this last question, or do I have to go?
Go ahead.
I have literally put in writing. I've offered someone upwards of $20,000 to answer a question regarding child molestation. They never responded. These are famous people.
Sure. I can understand them not wanting to answer that question because, I mean, if it showed that they said, no, I've never been engaged in child molestation, and then it says, well, yeah, you lied, well, then that becomes suddenly a big old public thing, and they may be telling the absolute truth, but it shows, oh, my God, you just scared the crap out of me by asking that question, and my stress level went through the roof.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that 90% of your audience and 90% of the people listening to this in the future, if they were asked to take a polygraph test and they were given, offered $20,000, I think most people could pass that question.
Well, unless they were telling the truth and it just showed that they were lying. Polygraph is not a guaranteed anything. It's the reason it's not used in court except under extremely unusual circumstances.
Yeah, but the good thing about California is if both parties agree, it's acceptable.
Yeah, sure.
If both parties agree, it's acceptable.
Uh-huh. It'd be interesting to find two parties agreeing, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, in California, in some states, if both parties agree to a polygraph exam, and they basically say, yes, we agree to that, and we will submit that to the court, yeah, it's there. I think you guys will get a kick out of the people that I've offered money to take a polygraph to. With that, you guys rock.
Okay. You have a good one, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. I have a PSA from the Onslow County Emergency Services
What's that
right
mean?
now. Public service, you know what it means. There was a large woods fire in the Croatan National Forest. Areas around Swansville, Belgrade, and Bear Creek have been reporting smoky conditions as a result. And I was reading online this morning. There
Is the
was
fire out?
no, there was a lot of people saying that if you have asthma or something, they were suffering a lot of.
If you can
effects
smell
from it.
smoke, go somewhere else.
I knew I smelled it this morning.
I didn't smell it.
I can smell it right now. It's just in my
Because you've
head.
been smoking so much, and that hair of yours has got smoke in it all the
Oh
time.
my God, does
Okay, we will see you tomorrow. We've got who we have.
you, me, and Kelly. We have several on tap for this week. It's just a matter of confirming them. So.
Yeah, we're supposed to have the county commissioners, a couple of them in here this week, but I don't know. But I'm waiting for a confirmation, a time and a date.
Yeah,
We have Timmy Thomas coming in also on
right,
Thursday.
right. And the
Is,
two
is Chris coming in?
Chris's.
And Chris Mark's going to be here. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We have a lot of
Mhm.
fun. And I just don't know what my garden is, the food's going to be tasting like because,
Oh, no, but
Timmy left me three buckets of stuff
Yes, he did.
that I used to plant my tomatoes and stuff in. I'll let you know what it tastes like, whether it tastes like what he left me or not. Of course, I don't know what he left me taste like because I've never tasted it. We'll talk again tomorrow. You're live and local. We'll talk. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.